Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel, and welcome back to another episode of Pine Cove Farm. This is Pine Cove Farm episode number 18, and we've got quite the operation going on here. Let me just bring up the big map here and I'll show you. We've got Billy Bob and Stan up working field number 6, harvesting corn off that field and bringing that harvest down to the main farm silo, and of course that's being controlled by Courseplay. And then Jim Bob and myself, and we have temporarily hired another worker to come in and help us as well transport and get this grain here off this field. So basically wheat, obviously. And so we will get that done, and we're going to basically run the auger wagon for this episode here. And so we will just go ahead and get things set up here. We'll uncover our auger wagon, and let's see what we need to do. Do we need to do pipe out yet? We don't need to, so we can just do pipe in. So hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful day. It is, let's see, look at my trusty spreadsheet here, it is Thursday the 13th of April, and as this is an American map, as I mentioned in episode number 17, you're getting closer and closer to tax day, so hopefully you've got your taxes done, they've already been filed, and hopefully you have your nice refund already in your back pocket if you got one. And all of that is done. We like to do our taxes sometime between mid-February and end of February, try to get it done and get our little refund and just get that out of the way. So let's see, we're at 50%, so what we're going to try to do here is, we're obviously, because we are controlling the Challenger and the Kinsey auger wagon, we're going to need to make sure that we keep our combine emptied as best as possible when we're on this side of the harvested side of the field, because as I've talked about before, Courseplay now has it's been programmed into Courseplay that as long as Courseplay is controlling the AI, that basically if you have crop damage or crop destruction turned on, it essentially will not cause you problems, and so, or obviously it will not destroy the crop. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of play the role of Courseplay for this episode, and just kind of drive behind the combine. We're not going to follow him around, but we will need to empty him before he gets up to that turn up there and comes back down the other direction. And naturally our semi is being controlled by Courseplay as well there. And so the semi will basically just take a route. I've got his route set up where he's going to go around the sheep field, come in sort of the back way, go around that direction, and kind of keep that course. Try to keep him from getting tangled up with Billy Bob, who is going to be driving the tipper and the tractor from the other field. So again, hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful day, and that is working like clockwork up there. Looks like Billy Bob and Stan are getting along together up there. Getting the corn and stuff emptied. I'm keeping an eye, compliments of the inspector mod there, keeping an eye on that to make sure that that's working correctly. So we'll go ahead and move up here and empty him before he gets too full and before he reaches his turn here. And of course we're still putting down straw because, well, we need straw. We finally got everything, got our mixing station filled with straw, got the bedding needs for both the pigs and the cows set up with straw, and actually have just a small amount of straw in surplus. And so what we're going to do here is we're just going to go ahead, I think, and let's see, at 52%, 22,000, we will go ahead and do our pipe out. And I think what we'll do is we'll go around and we'll do this on the field side. naturally we wouldn't be running across our windrows there if we could avoid it, but it's no harm, no foul here in the virtual world. There we go. Unfortunately, these black tipper, and I think that's a Wilson. If I'm not mistaken, that's a Wilson grain trailer that I'm running there behind that black semi. Unfortunately, they don't hold that much. This actually this Kinsey auger wagon holds more grain than that Wilson dump trailer does, and so that's a bit unfortunate. In Farm Sim 15, I used a set of Wilson trailers. One was a longer trailer that had a hitch on the back, and then you could connect a smaller version to it, and so you could have a little bit more capacity. Obviously, we could run multiple tractor tippers or tractor grain dump trailers if we wanted to. And as we get our harvest going, because we've got so much to do on this particular game day, if we take a look at our harvest map here, we've got basically they're working on field 6, getting corn off that field. We're working on wheat down here on field 3, but we've got field 2 that is ready to go that we need to get to next. And then these fields are not done yet, so depending on when that darn rain hits, it may just, I don't know, it may really mess us up. We'll just kind of have to see what ends up happening, but I'm a little nervous about that, I've got to say. And my apologies, my allergies are really working overtime. I think since I have been back, and of course it's Saturday morning, the 8th of April, that I'm recording this episode, and as you know, I was out on the West Coast this past week, and coming back to Denver, the last I've been back since Thursday night, and I don't know if it's just coming back to the drier climate after having been in a little bit more humid climate, but something, either some weeds or some flowers or trees or something is in the air, some pollen is in the air is what I'm trying to say, and as a result it is it's causing me some sinus problems. And I do suffer from seasonal allergies, as do many people. It's just kind of the thing, I suppose. And but they've been a lot worse in recent years. It's kind of funny because I had seasonal allergies really bad in Texas before I moved to Denver, and that was in 1998. And so I never really did much about it other than just take over-the-counter stuff when I lived in Texas. And so when I moved to Colorado, I moved here in sort of the late fall of 1998. And of course winter came on, and then spring, and I had a couple of years where I didn't have any seasonal allergy problems when I lived here, and I guess I sort of traded the climate and everything, coming here to a new climate. It took my body a little while before I started having problems with the allergens and stuff in the area, and so we'll go ahead and minimize that because I'm going to get a screen capture as soon as I come up and empty him again. But after a couple of years of living here, I really began to suffer again, and so I went to and saw an allergist, and basically got basically got prescribed two different types of allergy drugs. Took those for a number of years, and just really, I don't know, just really struggled, just really suffered. They just didn't help. And so about 4 years ago, I guess, 4 or 5 years ago, my wife had an appointment with an ear, nose, and throat guy for a kind of a different problem. And they had a sign up in the lobby or in the waiting room that talked about these allergy drops. And of course, when I lived in Texas, I had friends that would do the shots that would go into the allergist's office, and they would take these shots, and they would go in about once a week. And that was nothing that I was ever really all that excited about doing, just because, you know, it takes a pretty big commitment to do that. And so anyway, the information, the notice that I saw in this ear, nose, and throat guy, his doctor's office, was he talked about these drops that you basically took that sort of replaced the typical, you know, shot, needle, and syringe kind of shot that had been popular in previous years. And so these drops, basically the way it works is you go in for a standard allergy test, and it's a skin test where they take various types of allergens and inject them just beneath the surface of the skin with these devices, and then they kind of monitor and watch. They know which injection is which, and they monitor it for, I don't know, 30 minutes or an hour or something like that. And that more or less determines what you're allergic to and what you're not allergic to. And so, anyway, so I was allergic to a number of different things that was obviously dominant here in Colorado, in this area. And so then they mix up this drop formula, which essentially you take 3 drops and put it under your tongue once a day, and you do this every single day, and then every 90 days you get a new supply of these drops, and essentially every 90 days the strength of the things that you are allergic to increases. And so basically your body is able to naturally build up a level of defense against these various allergens, and I have actually responded quite well to that treatment. And so I've been on it, like I said, 3 or 4 years now, and as I said, I've responded quite well to it. And I can tell that each year at the beginning of the spring season, I'm having to take the over-the-counter medicine less and less. So now I'm taking like a Claritin every 3 days or something like that. Now, I will say that since I've been back from California, I've actually taken quite a few. Well, I've taken one every day, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. Just because I not immediately, but Friday morning I basically woke up and I had a lot more congestion than I normally do. So yeah. But I know you don't tune in to hear about all my various ailments. Trust me, I won't turn my channel into telling you about all my aches and pains. So everything is working like clockwork. I've been kind of keeping an eye on the inspector mod up in the upper left-hand corner. There's two different mods that provide you sort of a detailed view of kind of what's going on your farm. There is Glance, and there is the Inspect mod. And I've got the link to the Inspect mod on my mod spreadsheet. If you go to grizzlybearsims.com, you'll find that link. And so a lot of people ask me, well, why do I use Inspector Mod versus Glance? And I found the Inspector Mod first for Farm Sim 17, and I suppose that as a result of that, I've just been using it because I think it came available before Glance did, and I've just been using it because it works for me. It provides me the information that I need. Is Glance better? Those that use Glance will tell you that yes, Glance is better than Inspect, the Inspector mod. But the Inspect mod tells me everything that I need to know. It gives me my animal productivity listings, and that's cool. And tells me what's going on the farm, so I can kind of keep an eye. And even though Courseplay will alert you to problems that it may be having, especially with like vehicle slipping and that sort of thing, it's also kind of handy to keep an eye on it. So I'm kind of keeping my eye up in that left-hand corner of the screen from time to time, and I know that I've got the Quasar HS16 is the corn harvester that's running. He's at 53%, and then the John Deere tipper, which is listed with the SOB weight there, 400, 2800 kilogram, Drakkar 8600 at 80. He's at 58%. So everything's working fine, and I'm not having to go around and save Courseplay drivers. So basically we own 2 combines, and we've got both combines running, and we've got, like I said, we've got all of our hands working, and we've actually had to bring on 1 extra. And again, we're just trying to get all of this harvest in before the rain sets in. And fingers crossed, but I'm really hoping that rain is coming later rather than sooner on the very next game day. And if I just bring up the forecast here, looking at the forecast, you see Tuesday. That's our 3rd game day of fall. So that's late fall is what that identifies as, and we've got rain. 49 is a high, 36 is a low. If that rain hits early, then it's possible that the crop will be wet and we will not be able to harvest that for some time. And just depending on what that weather is going to be like the first day of winter, it's a high of 42, so that doesn't scare me too bad. But if it dips down into the freezing temperatures before we get a chance to harvest it, then it's going to be lost. And it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of crop. It's essentially half of our fields. First time I've used these John Deere harvesters, and I'm actually quite impressed with them. I had modified them to remove, they've got about six camera views, and I modified them to remove those camera views, and I'm pretty sure that that mod stuck, that change stuck, but I guess I took an update. I guess there was an update for them, and they came back. So I need to change that back, because they've got, like I said, they've got about 6 different camera views, and basically I like to have, I guess I'm just old school with this, but I like to have my 2 camera views. When I hit C, I get in cab, and then I get out cab, third person versus first person, and that's the way I like it. I don't need the extra camera views. I don't really use them, and they're just kind of confusing to me. Well, not necessarily confusing, but it's just a problem because I jump into it, and again, because I'm just used to having 2 camera views with the other pieces of equipment that I operate, and I have to end up toggling through them. So we're making pretty good progress on this field. We're probably about halfway through, by my calculations, on the harvest here of this wheat. And let's just take a glance here into our fields. So yeah, we've basically got one more field that we need to harvest, and so we will obviously get on that just as quickly as possible, and then just hope for the best when the game day changes, because um, based on how things are looking, um, field 17, that may not actually make it. That looks to be a lighter shade of green than these, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens when we get there. But we planted everything in the correct window, but I think maybe the issue is that we've taken probably at least three that I know of, at least three updates for the Seasons mod since we've been playing Pine Cove Farm, maybe even four. And I think that's what happened with our soybeans potentially, and I think that may also be the reason why we are having. I thought he still had some more in him, and I think that is possibly the reason why we also are seeing some of this crop not being ready to harvest when we expect that it should be, because we didn't have these problems on law folds, and even though we took the same updates on law folds, I think the updates were fewer and far between in the growth stages for law folds. I mean, keep in mind that we're coming back around on the second game year for law folds. But I think that for whatever reason, one of those seasons updates just caused some problems with our soybeans, and I think it may have caused some problems with the growth. So if we lose those crops, we lose them. I'm not going to worry about it. It's it's what happens in the real world. I mean, farmers lose crops to either bugs or to early frost or torrential rain downpours, etc., etc. Or people come in the middle of the night and steal your soybeans. But in any event, these are the kind of things that do happen. And so I think we're setting okay from a cash perspective. And my biggest concern was on harvesting crops that would produce us the straw. And so now that we've got straw going, this is probably going to be more than enough straw that we're going to get off this field to take care of what we need to take care of for. And I think that we're going to be okay. But whether we're going to be able to get to those other fields, I don't know. I've not fast forwarded to test and see what's going to happen when it's going to rain. I'm not going to do that. It'll be a surprise. And when it happens, it happens. And if we can harvest, then we'll harvest. And if we can't, then we won't. So, but one of the things that I'm hoping for is I mentioned in the last episode of this map, I mentioned that Lone Star was going to be the American map that we're going to replace Pine Cove Farm with. I've been experimenting and testing Lone Star, and it's looking good. And it's a relatively big map with big fields. They're not all perfectly square or rectangle like this map, so there's some odd shapes and such that we'll have to deal with. We will be using large equipment, maybe not like the big air seeders that we have here on this map. I don't know yet. We'll just kind of make that decision once we get a little bit closer to starting the Let's Play on that map. But my hope is that there's enough change and the Seasons mod is working well enough that I won't have to take any updates to the Seasons mod that may or may not impact the growth cycles and stuff such as that. So I see that Billy Bob is taking a load of corn in. I just noticed that in the upper left hand corner of the screen. So that is good. And I'm going to intentionally kind of delay this. I was going to actually drive this over and empty this into our semi, but I'm going to delay that just a little bit because I don't want to get our hired workers tangled up there with the tractors and the semis and such. So I'll let Billy Bob get his corn emptied and get on out of the way. And of course, I will be covering how to set up the course play route for harvesting. I've just got a few other things that I want to do before I get to that portion of the tutorials, but we will be covering that. And of course, I will cover how to set up the auger wagon course. It's actually quite easy to do. And it works out great, obviously. So yeah, so Billy Bob is now, if we look on the map here, you can see that he is just pulled out of the silo and he is headed up the back road there. So we'll be coming, there he goes right there. So he's coming around on, he's got that tractor on two wheels as it comes around the corner. He's a fast driver, that Billy Bob. Alright, so he's full, so he'll now head back, and we'll head over here and see if we can get this guy emptied before he makes his turn. Generally speaking, as far as seasonal allergies go, I'll just tell you this, especially if you're potentially interested in possibly the allergy drops. They may be available. Check with your ear, nose, and throat professional. But I will say that, again, over the years, it's gotten better. The drops have helped tremendously, and essentially once all the leaves and everything come out on the trees and stuff, I'm generally fine until fall. And then there's something else that usually kicks up in the fall, some kind of tree pollen or something that occurs that I get a little bit, get some irritation with. At least that's been in years past. But everything can change, everything can be different. These things, kind of like like my example of being allergic to things in Texas, to a point to where that, literally my eyes would want to scratch my eyes out, and I would get all congested and hoarse and everything, maybe kind of like I'm sounding now. But it's funny how when I moved here for like 3 years or so, I had no problems at all. But then it caught up with me, and it occurred, and oh well. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we have hit the magic number of 30 minutes on this episode. And so we've got, obviously, you're going to get Pine Cove Farm number 19 on Saturday. So you're basically getting 3 episodes of Pine Cove this week. I'm sorry, you're not going to get that on Saturday. I don't release episodes on Saturday, so my bad. So you will see the next episode of Pine Cove, I believe, on Monday. So you're getting 2 episodes of Pine Cove this week. My bad. Looking at my spreadsheet wrong. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I do appreciate it. And I will probably bring us back together for one more game day on this map. We will do a portion of the harvest on the other field, and probably obviously get the straw picked up from this field. We'll let one of the hired guys do that for us. We do need to move some things around, maybe check on the compost facility, and probably move some total mix rations around as well, and make sure that our mixing station runs well. So we will be covering that in the next episode, and then we will probably go ahead and fast forward and see what the next game day holds for us, and see if we're going to be able to harvest any of that stuff in the last game day of fall. So thank you all so much for watching. I do appreciate it, and please make sure that you check out PCSG as well as the 3 Dudes Gaming Network. Stop by, say hello to us all over there. Lots of great information. Actually, just an update, been working on getting all of Stevie's mods ported over to PCSG. So as you know, I'm sure as you know by now, because I've talked about it, as well as many others have talked about it as well, Stevie is retiring from the modding business, at least for now. And so all of his mods he hosts on a Google Cloud account, and so he is going to basically let that expire in about 30 days or so. And some of his mods were already on PCSG, and but we're basically getting everything over there and set up so that the mods will not go away. So if you've enjoyed Stevie's mods, and if you still play or want to play his maps on Farm Sim 15 or even 17, or use some of his modded equipment, you'll be able to get those because they will continue to live on at PCSG. So thank you all again so much for watching. Take care, and I'll speak to you next time. God bless you all. Bye-bye.